Good morning, guys. Welcome to the 3D market commentary for today. Today is Thursday, March 25th. Hopefully your trading week is going well so far. So today we'll obviously go into what we see in 5 of the world's major markets today, what the technology shows us based on the email that we send out. So just talking about that email that we send out, if you don't already get that, then you can go to tradewithufos.com/Becky, which will take you here. We'll take you here, and then you can set up a free membership at the top there. Once you have a free membership, a free Trade with UFOs membership, you will get the email that I'm about to go through, and we send it out every day. In that email, we cover the technology that shows us the probabilities on 5 of the major markets in the world every day, and then we do a video, 20-30 minutes, well, I run over a little bit, it should be about 20 minutes, where we'll go through and expand what's in that email so you understand it a little bit better. Also on this link, tradewithufos.com/Becky, once you have a free membership, you can scroll down and you can ask questions in a public setting. Now that's important because it means other people can see the answer and then we can all learn from each other. So it may be, if you scroll down a little bit more, that the question you have, somebody else has already asked, which means the answer is already there. You don't have to email us and wait for a response. Or it might be that it's a new question, in which case posting it on here, we will then answer on here, and then other people can see the answer and we can again all learn, and the entire community sort of benefits from that. So we prefer that you do it that way. So tradewithufos.com/Becky. Okay, to be fair, you may have questions that you want to send directly to me, in which case that's Becky@TRADDICTIV.com. It's my email address there on the right hand side. If you tilt your head a little bit, then you'll see it. Okay, let's just get the disclaimers highlighted. It's obviously important for you guys to understand the disclaimers. Basically, everything that we do when we do videos like this are demonstrations, are not intended for you to copy if you don't want to. If you want to take a little bit of it, if you want to take all of it, if you want to ignore it entirely, that's ultimately up to you. Okay, so let's bring up that email that I was talking about that we go through or that we send out every day. This is what it looks like, and it correlates with market information. So we'll get the market up as well. So we call it a 3D approach. Now, why do we do that? It's called a 3D approach because we go through 3 key elements. First one being market climate. Market climate essentially is, where do we have probabilities? Do we have probabilities to the upside, to the downside, or maybe neither? So it gives us an idea of whether or not we should be going long or short or do nothing. We get that information from this here. This is our AutoClimate app. The AutoClimate app is a free app. You can download it once you have your free Trade with UFOs membership. And the AutoClimate app is scanning through the markets and coming back and telling us in a way of different coloured dots and different thickness of dots as to where we have probabilities. So for example, it could be a thick blue dot that would tell us that we have probabilities to the upside. It could be a thick red dot that tells us we have probabilities to the downside. Or it could be a thin dot of either colour. Obviously slightly harder to see, that's kind of the point. The thin dots, doesn't matter the colour, tells us we don't have enough probabilities either way. So again, we're using technology to be objective about our analysis, telling us where the probabilities lie. So that's the first element that we go through. And then again, I'm just going to highlight that. Then we then look at buy and sell UFOs. So UFOs stand for unfilled orders. Essentially what that means is that there are buy orders in markets and there are sell orders in markets that are waiting to come in. If there are big stacks of buy orders waiting to come in, we want to buy near those stacks of buy orders or within those stacks of buy orders. Because if there's lots of buying going on, it's more likely to defeat or beat the sell orders and push price upwards. So we want to be part of that. We want price to go up after we buy. So we want to buy where there's a lot of other buying. Same the other way around. If there's loads of sell orders in a market that are waiting to be filled, we want to sell at that point. Because if there's lots of selling going on, it's more likely to beat the buying and push it downwards. And again, we want price to go down after we sell. So we want to buy where loads of other people are buying, and we want to sell where loads of other people are selling, so that we have more probabilities of it going in the direction we want it to go in. So unfilled orders, our AutoUFOs, scan through the charts, come back and show us where we have these big stacks of buy or sell orders. If they're buy orders, then it's a green UFO. If it's sell orders, then it's a red UFO. So it will tell us on the right hand side the price range as to where we have those orders between those two prices. Okay, so we go through that per market as well. And then we're going to look at market volatility. Market volatility gives us an idea of risk and reward. Usually the higher the volatility, meaning the faster it moves, the higher the risk, but also potentially the higher reward. The slower it moves, the lower the risk, but potentially the lower reward. So we'll go through each of those elements per market. Okay, so we will start with the S&P. That's what we have here on the right hand side, and that's what we have as our first market that we look through on our market summary. So first things first, let's look at climate. Now we already have the climate on the screen here, and we see that we have a thick red dot. That tells us we have probabilities to the downside or a confirmed downwards climate. That's how we would phrase it. So we see that confirmed downwards climate. We also see that these stats are kind of in our favour. What this shows us is that normally this market would come down for 3 candles. So 3 days. It's a daily chart. By the way, we're looking at a daily chart on each of these markets. So it normally comes down for 3 days, and we're on day number 2, candle number 2. So we have probability of another day or so of a continuous move down based on what usually happens. That's not to say, by the way, that we don't go past what usually happens or fall short of what normally happens. That is normal for us not to reach the average all the time, of course. But the stats just give us an idea of what's more likely to happen. So again, based on what's likely to happen, we have another day or so of a move down. Now, when it comes to buy and sell UFOs, we have no sell UFOs above us. Again, the app is scanning the data and it's coming back and saying there aren't enough sell orders above us for us to pick it out. Buy orders, we're literally within the stack of buy orders right now. So the numbers are 3878.75 to 3796.25. So between those two numbers, we have a big stack of buy orders. We're currently within them right now. It's already worked a little bit. Price came in and hit this UFO before and moved upwards, which is what we expected to do. And then it's come back down again. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. We have a climate pushing down. We have buy orders pushing up. So kind of two different forces now kind of going off against each other. Ideally, we want those two things to line up. So as they're not lining up, I would say it's something I would keep away from, considering we have, like I said, not enough room really to capitalize either way. Okay, when it comes to volatility, we expect a movement up or down in one day of 50.50 points. In 1 week, we would expect a movement up or down of 111.18. And in 1 month, we would expect movement up or down of 231.43. So again, that's what we expect in terms of movement up or down within these given periods of time. And then we can use our climate and UFOs to help us figure out in which direction that's more likely to happen. In the case of this, we have probability to the downside with the climate, the probability to the upside with the UFOs. So not quite lining up in the right way for us to be, or for us to have probabilities on our side. Okay, we'll move on to the next market, which is crude oil. In the meantime, you'll see a link there to take you to the courses. So you might be watching this thinking, I don't understand what these charts are. You said we were looking at the S&P, but it said ES1. What does that mean? It's because we're looking at futures markets, so we're looking at representations of these markets. Essentially, that's what futures are. So you might want to learn about futures, or you might want to learn about Forex, or you might want to learn how to trade or invest in stocks. You might know how to do all of those things, but want to understand how to build a trade plan, how to backtest it, how to manage your trading psychology. So if you're interested in any of those things, we do courses. The majority of the courses come with 3 months access to the UFOs and AutoClimate as well. So AutoClimate is a free app anyway, but AutoUFOs is a paid for app. I'll explain that in a minute as to how that works. Okay, so crude oil, we have on market climate, confirmed downwards climate. We see that again because we have a thick red dot, probability to the downside. Usually, this market would go down for 7.19 candles. I'm going to round that up because you can't have a percentage of a candle, right? So let's say 8 candles. Usually comes down for 8 candles. We're on candle number 5. So that tells us that we have probability of another few days to the downside based on what usually happens. So when it comes to buy and sell UFOs, we have sell UFOs on this chart. This is our red UFO. That's where we have sell orders. And the numbers or the prices as to where we have those sell orders are between 66.40 to 63.60. We then have a stack of buy orders that we've already hit. So again, we expect buy orders to push price up, and that's exactly what happened. Price came down, hit the top line of that UFO where the top price is where we have buy orders, and went up from there. It's exactly what we expect UFOs to do. The numbers for that are 57.29 to 54.81. So Even though the buy orders have already been touched and reacted to, the app is picking up that there are still enough buy orders there. So overall with crude oil, we're kind of in the middle. Well, I guess we're here. So we're closer, I guess, to buy orders. But again, we have more probability to the downside based on climate, with a little bit of room before it hits the buy orders again to come down. So I would say overall probability to the downside, but bear in mind, you do have buy orders close by. Okay, so volatility, we would expect in one day a movement up or down of 2.46 points. In a week, we'd expect movement up or down of 5.42 points. And in 1 month, we'd expect movement up or down of 11.28 points. Again, that's up or down, overall probability to the downside based on climate. Okay, let's move on to the next market. So again, just whilst I load that, you see there that there is a link to the UFOs. So the UFOs, or TRADDICTIV, are what we use here, and we're seeing how they work, that they are highlighting for us where there are buy orders, where there are sell orders, so that we can use those for our entries and exits. Because they tend to work. When price hits buy orders, it goes up. When price hits sell orders, it goes down. So the AutoUFO app is showing us where those orders are. Now, depending on which platform you use, depends on how much it costs to have. On TradingView, which is the one that I'm using now, it's $34 a month. On TradeStation or other platforms, it's a different amount. There are also yearly discounts available, and they come for free as part of the courses. So with gold, that's what we're looking at right now. We have a current upwards climate, but it's unconfirmed. We know that because it's a thin dot. Again, slightly hard to see, but we have a thin blue dot there. Again, that tells us not enough probabilities. I know it's blue, I know it's technically an up climate, but the fact that it's unconfirmed is telling us that we just don't have enough probabilities, so we keep away. So overall with gold, keep it away from it. When it comes to buy and sell UFOs, again, we're kind of in the middle of that. So we don't have, based on statistics or technology, we don't really have statistics either way. We have sell orders up here at 1815.2 to 1782.2, and we have buy orders down here at 1652.8 to 1624.4, and we're kind of in the middle of that. We're not close enough to either stack of orders for it to have a real impact today, and nothing confirmed on the climate. So again, nothing really going on with gold, not enough for us to call either way. When it comes to volatility, we would expect movement up or down in one day of 17.11 points. In 1 week, up or down of 37.66 points. In 1 month, up or down of 78.39 points. Again, hard to call in which direction because we're not close enough to either stack of orders. Of course, new orders can come into the market, so we'll keep an eye out for that. But based on what we see at the moment, not close enough to either stack of orders and nothing going on with the climate. Okay, so we'll move on to the next market. In the meantime, it says here about coaching and support. So you might already have taken courses or want to take courses, but actually what you're really interested in is just watching people trade and apply this methodology, being able to follow along and perhaps place trades at the same time or just learn from watching other people trade. That's what we offer in our coaching. We do a lot of coaching for free on YouTube, so you can follow us on that. Or there are closed coaching rooms where you basically just have more of our time in the closed trading rooms. And the cost for that is $21 per month, or you can have yearly discounts as well. Okay, next market, and in my opinion, or in I guess objectively, the most important one, the US dollar. That's what we're looking at here. We're looking at a futures contract that represents it, but we're seeing movement on the US dollar here. Now, the US dollar is the most important market in the world, based on the fact that it's responsible for about 80% of transactions worldwide every single day. So even if you don't trade the dollar, but you trade any of the other markets that we go through today, or actually most markets, the dollar will have an impact on that. So be aware of what the dollar is doing. So when it comes to climate for the dollar, we have a confirmed upwards climate. We know that because we have a thick blue dot, confirmed upwards climate probability to the upside there. Usually the market would go up for 5 candles, again just rounding that up, and we're on candle number 5. Which tells us we've come to the end of what is usual or what is normal as to a move to the upside. It's not to say we won't continue. Again, we can go past what's normal, we can fall short of what's normal. It's just to say it's less likely to happen now based on what usually happens. So when it comes to buy and sell UFOs, we have sell UFOs here that it looks like we're on the way to at 94.33 to 93.245. We then have buy orders just here. And again, they've already worked, they've worked twice. The numbers for that are 91.405 to 90.635. And again, we saw price came in, hit the top line, so hit the top of the stack of buy orders, went up, came back in, hit the top line, and then went up again. That's what we expect buy orders to do, is push price up. We use AutoUFOs as a technology to show us where they are, so it saves us spending time analysing anything. It's just there, and we see the price range as well. Okay, so volatility, we expect movement up or down in one day of 0.37 points, in 1 week 0.82 points up or down, and in 1 month 1.71 points up or down. So not a particularly volatile market, again, compared to the others. I would say, based on the room that we have to the upside, we'll probably go up for another couple of days at least before we hit that stack of sell orders and then come down. But we'll see, of course, different things happen in the markets, unexpected things happen in the markets. None of this is guaranteed. It's based on probabilities and statistics. But just because something's probable doesn't mean it's definite, so we still manage our risk just in case we're wrong. But based on the probabilities that we see here, we've come off of a stack of buy orders. We've still got quite a strong move to the upside there, a little way before we hit the sell orders. So I would say overall probability to the upside there for the dollar. Okay, so last market, which is back to Bitcoin. In the meantime, as I said before, as you see here, we do a lot of things on YouTube. So you're probably already watching this on YouTube. Maybe you're watching it on Facebook or something. You can join us in YouTube sessions where we do stock sessions, forex, futures, options, sharpening sessions where we go through methodology, psychology sessions. So you can join us in our coaching for free on YouTube. All you need to do is search on YouTube for Trade with UFOs and you'll find it. Or if you do have this email list, then you can just click that link and it will take you there. Okay, so market climate, we have an unconfirmed downwards climate. We see that, this is Bitcoin, I think I already said that, but just to say, it's Bitcoin. We see that it's an unconfirmed downwards climate because it's a thin red dot. Again, the fact that it's red is kind of irrelevant. It's a thin dot which tells us lack of probability to either side. Now, in terms of stats, we don't actually know the stats. We don't know what usually happens in this market, up or down, because it's just not been around long enough. We don't have enough data to say what usually happens or not. So kind of in the dark there with this, but for the time being, again, unconfirmed downwards climate, so kind of unconfirmed climate. Now, we have sell UFOs above us, relatively new, and again, they're already working. So we had sell UFOs here, price came in at this point, hit the stack of sell orders, and fell from there, came down. That's what we expect these buy and sell UFOs to do, push price in their intended direction. Now, the numbers for that closest stack of sell orders are 60,362.5 to 56,800 even. We then have a stack of buy orders underneath us here, a little way below us, at 39,157.5 to 32,192.5. I would say, based on the room that we have to the downside, meaning buy orders are a little way away, sell orders have already worked, started pushing us down. Although we have an unconfirmed climate at the moment, I wouldn't be surprised to see it confirm itself and continue to the downside for the next few days maybe. That's what I would say based on the UFOs. At the moment, the climate is not really giving us any information, but based on the UFOs, our proximity to the sell UFOs, having just reacted to them, and our opposite of proximity, further away from our buy orders, gives us more probability to the downside there. Now, in terms of volatility, Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies are notoriously volatile. Not a good or bad thing, it just is. Just be aware of it. In a day, we would expect movement up or down of 2,932.83. In 1 week, it would be up or down of 6,456.34. And in 1 month, we would expect movement up or down of 13,439.93. So again, volatility is not something to be scared of. You just need to manage your risk. It's the more something moves within a shorter amount of time, the more risk you have of being slipped or of being stopped out unnecessarily. So just be aware of that. Again, when it comes to volatility, kind of brings me nice onto this. We can have a look at our weekly economic calendars. We go to the FX Street economic calendar, so you can Google that. We filter by high impact news and then by the markets that one could trade, right? There are loads of different markets all over the world. Now, The important thing about this is not necessarily to interpret the news or to subjectively decide whether or not to buy or sell. You can do that if you want to. That's not what we do. We don't do that because we use technology and statistics and probabilities to get in and out of our trades. We don't need anything else. But understanding that we have high impact news coming out gives us an idea of the amount of volatility we're likely to see, which might then change the way that we manage our risk. We might risk a lower percentage. We might avoid trading that particular market. We might just place less trades in that particular market. So be aware of what's coming up in the news that could increase volatility to help you manage your risk. That's kind of everything for today. So hopefully that makes sense in terms of where the probabilities lie, what we see in terms of climate, in terms of UFOs, and in terms of volatility. If you have any questions, want to talk to us about anything that I've gone over, and try and understand what courses maybe make sense to you. Should you just do the coaching, or maybe you can just use the apps and that'll be fine, or maybe you need a combination, or maybe do nothing, but you want to just talk it through with somebody, you can self-schedule a clarification call and speak to one of our experts, figure out what's going to be best for you, again, even if nothing is the answer. Any questions, you can email me, becky@tradictive.com, or there is this link, tradewithufos.com/Becky. You can get yourself a free Trade with UFOs membership. You'll get that email that I've just gone through. That list of 5 markets every day will come through to you by email. And you can ask questions publicly there so that I can answer it publicly and everybody can see the answers and we can all learn from each other. So I will be back tomorrow morning to see what we have tomorrow, what we have in terms of probabilities tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great trading day, and I will see you in the morning.